Hi, this is Sophia from Rough and Ready Soap Co. And today I'm going to be showing you how to make cold process soap. We start off with our lye in water. So I'm going to zero out my measuring cup. And whenever you're working with lye, you always want to have your gloves and your glasses and a mask. So I'm going to measure out my water first. And for my recipe, I'm using 14 ounces of distilled water. You always want to use distilled water, not water from your tap, because it has too many minerals and it can leave ash on top of your soap. 14 ounces. And now we zero it out. And you add the lye. This is 100% household lye. You want to make sure that it's pure, and when you're buying lye from the hardware store, there's some that are mixes, so you want it to say 100% lye. So for my recipe, I'm going to be measuring out 5.46 ounces. What I do is I measure a little at a time and I stir it. It's actually better to measure out your lye ahead of time so you can just pour it in little increments instead of measuring it right into the water, just in case you actually dump a little bit too much in there, which I've done before. Okay, now I'm going to let my lye cool in the freezer. It's actually not too hot because it's cool outside right now, but I let it cool to about 100 degrees, and then I'll take it out. And it's cloudy right now, as you can see, but once it cools down, it'll get a lot clearer. While the lye is cooling, I'm going to measure out my hard oils. In my recipe I'm using today, I'm going to be using coconut oil and palm oil. So I'm going to get my microwave-proof container. Some people use a double broiler. It's easier for me to use the microwave to melt the oils. So I put it on the scale and I zero it out. And now I'm going to add my hard oils. Okay, now that I have that measured out, I'm going to stick it in the microwave in 30-second intervals until it's melted, and I stir it at each interval. You want to make sure that your palm oil melts completely, because the stearic acid in palm oil takes longer to melt, and if you don't melt it all the way and you see little floaters around, that will leave white spots in your soap. So I'm going to go melt this and come back to measure my liquid oils. Okay, so now that my palm oil and coconut oil is totally melted, there's no specks floating around in there, meaning the stearic acid in the palm oil is completely melted, I'm going to be measuring out my liquid oils. So I'm going to set this on my scale and I'm going to zero it out. And the liquid oils I'm going to be using today is olive oil and castor oil. I find that using castor oil boosts the lather and makes it creamier and fluffier in my soap. So first I'm going to add my castor oil, and it's going to be 4 ounces. You can also measure these out ahead of time to keep from putting too much in your bowl. Obviously, once I put it in, I can't take it out. I can't tell you how many times I've dumped oil into my bowl before. Obviously, I haven't learned my lesson yet. Okay, now I'm going to do, that was 4 ounces. Now I'm going to do 20 ounces of olive oil. I'm using extra virgin. You can use any press. There's extra virgin, there's virgin, and there's light. Also, there's pumice oil, which is extracted chemically. Some people like to use it, some people don't. It does tend to trace faster. I like using extra virgin. I haven't had any issues with it. Doesn't leave a smell in my soap. So now I just give it a little whisk, make sure everything's blended in together. And now I will measure the temperature. I want it to be, by the time I soap, I want it to be around 80 degrees. My lye is still cooling in the freezer. It's not quite there yet. Okay, so my oils and lye are cooled to about 90 degrees, and I wanted to show you that these are the wood molds that I use. My dad and I made them, and I line them with freezer paper, which is also called butcher paper. And it has a plastic lining on it so the soap doesn't stick to it. I've tried parchment paper before and it doesn't turn out well. So now we're going to be mixing the oils and the lye together with my stick blender. And I've already picked out my scent. I'm going to be using cranberry spice, and I'm also going to be using titanium dioxide for the color, and also a red mica. And I'm also going to use cranberries to put on the top as a garnish. Always make sure when you use any type of fruit that it's completely dried, because you don't want mold. So here I'm going to add the lye to the oils. You always want to add the lye to the oils, not the other way around. And now I'm going to stick blend until a light trace. Okay, I'm not going to add my scent yet because I've had so many times where I've had a seized or riced soap, and because I'm adding colorant, I'm actually going to be splitting this off into 2 different measuring cups. So one of these will be light pink and one of these will be kind of a red pink. And I'm going to be adding titanium dioxide to my base. This is all before scent. My titanium dioxide I have mixed in water. And I take my whisk. Now it's not going to be a white because of the fact that I use extra virgin olive oil. It kind of gives my soaps a little tint. You can always add more titanium dioxide, but you want to be careful, especially if it's mixed in water. It will eventually evaporate, but it can make it your soap a little softer. So I've mixed that, and you can notice, I mean, it's super runny, and I want it to stay this way since I'm going to add my scent. And when you add fragrance oil, it can accelerate. So now I'm going to be adding titanium dioxide to the portion that's going to be pink. Actually, I'm going to take my spoon and mix that up. Oops. And then I'm going to be adding my mica. I don't usually mix my mica in with oil. I find that it blends fine just doing it right in the soap. You can blend it with an oil first. I just have to be really careful not to get it dusty. So I kind of mix it really lightly with the spoon first. And then I'll mix it with my stick blender. Because you can see there's still a little bit of chunks in there. So that looks like a nice pink color. And now I'm going to be adding the red to the other portion that does not have titanium dioxide. And I'm probably going to add a little bit more so it gets a darker color. Also, you want to keep in mind if you're using extra virgin, your batter's a little yellow like mine, you might want to add a little bit more colorant because your red can turn out orange since your batter's yellow, or your purple can turn out brown, which I've had happen before. Purples are really difficult. I find I get the best purples with using a mica than an oxide. And don't let the color fool you. What it is in here, once it gels, it's going to be darker. So if it's not as dark as you want it necessarily in here, if you are gelling your soaps, once it's gelled, it will become a little bit darker. I am going to add a little bit more just to give it a little bit more contrast from the pink. So my batter's starting to thicken up a little bit, which is okay. Okay. I'm going to stick blend my white portion a little bit just to make sure that's all mixed up well before I mix in the pink, because I don't want my batter to turn pink. Just a little bit, thickening up a bit. And I'm going to stick blend my pink just a little bit, just to make sure it's all mixed in and uniform. Great. Okay, now with my scent, I'm going to separate it out, kind of eyeballing here, but if you want, you can measure it. I know I have a little bit more white, so I'm going to be using about half the bottle in the white, and then about half each in the colors. Sometimes your fragrance oil can turn your soap batter yellow or brownish. I find that usually goes away after it's gelled. So it's looking pretty good. It's not looking like it's going to seize up on me, which is a good thing for this video. I'm going to make sure that's well incorporated. Looks good. Okay. So now I'm going to take my mold. I'm going to be pouring in all the white. You can do this any way you want, any type of swirl or design. This is just kind of something I was thinking about, how I wanted to do it with this particular batch. I'm actually going to leave a little bit to drizzle on the top for a design. Tap it a little bit, make sure the bubbles are out, and then I'm going to pour each one of these down the middle, switching off from red. Oh, my SD card kind of pooped out on me and cut me off while I was pouring. So here's the finished soap, and sprinkled some cranberries on top. I'm not sure how the design turned out. I will show a cut picture at the end of this video. It smells really good. It looks great. It got a little thick on me, so that's why I'm not sure about how the design turned out. Thank you for watching. This is how to make a cold process soap by Rough and Ready Soap Co. Thanks.